I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
you have entered into a dimension of truth where time does not exist and illusions are shattered. The journey of truth is intense. The journey of truth will set you free. Consider this a warning as you enter the dimension of truth uncompromised.
We are in the age of truth, freedom, love, prosperity, abundance, and peace. Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight we have a special show. I am honored to have Dr. Carmen Johnson with us tonight. Dr. Carmen Johnson, she's going to share her story of a crime she didn't commit. She was wrongfully accused. So this show, we're going to talk about the criminal injustice that was served against her and how she survived it. Ooh, what an incredible story. It's very not only inspiring, but she is an incredible sister. I had the pleasure of meeting her, and I'm just so honored that she's able to come on and share her story with the family. And the bonus and the plus about this, she knows who she is. So, I was just like, I was all for it. So, Dr. Carmen Johnson, she's going to come on at 7:30. I am going to bring on my co-host, Brother Sean, Sis Sandra, and then my son, Scotty. We're going to just chop it up a little bit. And then we'll bring on Sis Carmen Johnson. So I do want to give a quick shout out to the YouTube family. Thank you all so much. Helenice in the building. Thelma in the building. Jamerson. I think this is my first time seeing you here. Welcome aboard. If not, welcome anyway. JBP. I know, JB, you've been sending me a lot of stuff, Sweet Pea. I'm behind, so I will definitely try to take a look through it and give you a shout out. Know Thyself, Capricorn Rising, Brother Tia Israel, welcome aboard. American Indian Star, peace and love. Hey, Sister Divinity, good to see you as well. There is my niecey Pooh, T. Christopher. And actually, niecey Pooh was the one that linked me up with Dr. Carmen Johnson. She's like, you got to meet her. You two sisters are Johnsons. You got to meet her. You got to meet her. You got to meet her. And sure enough, we linked up. I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So shout out to my niecey Pooh. Shout out to Brother Markedrick. So shout out to all of my YouTube chat family. And shout out to everybody in YouTube land that is listening as well. Okay, so let me bring on my co-host. Excuse me. And then family, we're also going to, if time permits, and if Sis Carmen is up to it, we're going to also have an open Q&A as well. So you're going to have to call in, and we'll put that number up when we get to that point. So let me bring on Sis Sandra. Okay. Okay, sis, you should be able to unmute yourself.
I did.
Right? Peace and love. How are you, sis?
Oh, peace and love to you, Sister Rhonda, Brother Sean, and Brother Scotty, and to the family. I am great. Thank you very much. And how are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Same here.
All right, let me bring in our brother Sean.
It's finally coming up.
There we go. Peace and love, brother Sean.
Wholeness and power. What's good, family?
All is
Black.
well.
Oh, black. Wonderful.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. It's good to hear your voice.
Likewise. Always, sis. Always.
All right. All right. Excuse me. Let me bring in son Scotty. Peace and love.
Yo, peace and love, everybody.
How are you?
Wholeness and power.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm good.
Good to hear your voice. Okay, so like I said, sis Carmen, she's going to come on at 7:30. So we have about 16 minutes to give just a quick recap on what's going on this week. So I'm gonna try to keep it clean tonight in honor of our guests. So go ahead on with the effery. We got to keep it short because we're going to bring in Dr. Carmen Johnson at 7:30. So Sis Sandra, we'll start with you.
Okay, it may relate to this topic because our illustrious nuisance of Cali is saying that all homeless people are welcome to California.
Child, wait a minute. Child. And I got to keep it clean tonight out of respect for Sister Carmen Johnson. So now you say what now? Look at my eyes blinking, y'all.
He's welcoming all homeless of the world to California.
Did he make a public statement saying that, or?
I saw it on currently AT&T, and I heard somebody else of the Patriot movement say it too. So it must have been a public statement for the other person to say it too.
Child, let me get a black woman full of stare.
Yeah.
Come on, didn't they just clean up Venice Beach this week, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, they moved him somewhere. I think they moved him onto the sand or something. I don't know.
No, you know that hotel on Venice Beach that look like it's from the 20s?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they gave them vouchers to go there.
Well, he's, Larry, what's his name? He's a commentator or something. He's running for governor of California, along with that Kristen Jenner, Jenner girl, guy, whatever. And so nobody's listening to nuisance anymore. And I think he signed a $12 billion bill for the homeless as well. So, I guess he's trying to ruin California. Larry.
Yeah, that is obvious. I totally agree that he's definitely. I think he's trying to get people to leave. We talked about that a couple weeks, that we think they're trying to clear people out of California.
Larry, I forget his last name.
Elder.
Yeah,
okay.
He just announced and had to go to court to get a permission to be on the ballot. Now, I don't know if anybody else has to go, file a claim in court to get permission on the ballot, because somebody was trying to tell him he couldn't get on at this date and time. So he went to court to get it. And, he's a melanated man. So, and I know I've seen him on YouTube many times, and they don't, I guess nuisance don't want him to take his place, and he's trying to Cali pretty bad. I mean, seriously, all the people, homeless people of the world. Are you serious?
Wow. Oh, child.
I,
Okay.
I said, oh my God.
Okay. I mean,
It's
but
the
to
ones
me,
he has.
yeah, to me, it's a clear agenda. They're trying to purposely divert money from Cali, making people leave because I think they have other plans for California. I think they want to turn it back into a wildlife, a large portion of that land. So it's gonna really be interesting. Um, I know the people that have been leaving California, moving to other places. Now those states are complaining because they are contributing to driving up housing cost. So it's going to be real interesting. So we're going to keep our eye on California.
But let me tell you what's happening here for me.
Hmm.
I get numerous calls of buying my house cash.
Oh, I'm sure.
Some of
Hopefully they not lowballing you.
I'm not talking about to sell it to them. They said, well, when you're ready. But some of them are Asians.
Yeah, remember we talked about that China. Now I don't know if they're still doing it. Excuse me, you all. At one point, China was fronting people to buy land,
Yeah, they would be back up in
not only
Florida.
in California, but across the U.S. As well. But I know California was one of the targeted places, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. And they call all the time. You ready yet? No.
No, exactly. Go head on.
Well, you don't have to move, right away or nothing like that. You can tell us when you're ready.
No, I'm not ready because for you harassing me, that tells me how valuable it really is.
Right.
And you're not going to get it. How about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Child. All right, then. Son Scotty, you have anything this week?
No, I was just saying a couple of things that I thought was interesting on social media. One was a headline on CNN talking about the cost of getting genealogical records from the government could go up nearly 500%.
Yeah. 500%. I forgot who I first heard mention that. I don't know if it was Tasha Chi or Phoenix, but one of them did mention it. And they were telling people, hurry up and do your genealogy. I do remember that. But we know why, right?
Yeah. They're gonna try to get you off the land like they did in Alabama. You don't have the records. You don't have nothing. Yeah.
Right. And the fact that the movement that you all started, let's be clear, you all started that movement. You kept being persistent. Remember when we were called crazy? Let me refresh everybody's memory. Remember when we were called crazy? Remember when we were called we didn't want to be African?
Huh?
We didn't want to be black?
Right.
We were ashamed of who we were. Remember that? And we were persistent. I don't care what you say. Here's the receipts. Now it's gaining momentum. So, of course, they want to raise the prices to get access to those records to discourage folks to not do their genealogy. It's not going to work. The genie is already out the bottle. And now they're trying to counteract it, and nothing they can do or say, it's not going to work. So that's why, because once you unravel one little piece, the whole thing starts unraveling. And that's essentially what we have done. That's what you all have done. It started with us saying, I'm not African. That's not what my grandmother told me. That's not what my grandfather told me. No, it's not right. And we've just grown from that point to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you had, Cool Mayo. Then you had legendary Top Cat coming out and saying, the whole Black European piece, and even us here. Holloway, absolutely. Now we're putting the pieces together, and the total story of what they told us isn't true. So now it's going to force everything to be uncovered. And it's interesting. Shout out to Lex Will. I was on a John Levy video. It's his last video.
Oh yeah.
Child,
I saw that too.
Child, and y'all gonna see where I left a comment. Child, let me tell you something. Lex Will, shout out to brother Lex Will. And one thing I have to say, this is how we as adults, and especially we of a certain age group, have to be mature. Because Lex Will and I don't agree on everything. We don't agree on the Bible. I don't rock with the Bible. He does. But we don't disrespect each other. He respects my work. I respect his work. See, that's what grown folk do. So shout out to Lex Will. I don't know if he put a video out. I don't know if he went under John Levy's comments. I don't know. All I know is John Levy's latest video, he called out Lex Will saying, I'm not racist. I try to tell the truth on everyone. And what did he say? I did give Black people their credit as being all over the planet, blah, blah, blah. My mouth dropped. I'm like, I do remember in John Levy's defense, I remember him once saying that. So I don't know what set Lex Will off, but he has a point. He has a point. This movement is not going to be brought back. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. Because it's even bigger than us being indigenous to the land, us being the first folks on the land. We're talking about being Black Europeans as well. That means the Italians and all of those other Europeans. That means the Spanish. That means Asia.
Yeah. See, that's what be setting Lex Will off. He's like, y'all missing a huge component of the melanated factor in these resets. There's a whole point of why they be doing most of this stuff. And,
exactly.
And so it's already a whole bunch of questions and trying to dig and uncover and figure out the truth of it. But when you seem to be just blindly not paying attention to the fact that hey, it was a whole bunch of melanated people here at this time. And then at the same time as a reset, now everybody is different races that's non-melanated.
Right. And it's so blatant with some of these content creators that have these huge platforms. They want to talk about Tartaria and they want to talk about the mud floods. And we have literally seen them bring up pictures with melanated people with gold fronts and hair like mine, and the Native Americans. Bruh, you're gonna literally bring up pictures with brown people on them with hair of wool with gold front. sisters with booties on their back, and you want to brush up past all of that. So all of
That's
this is
another
being
thing.
brought
They'll
to
be
light.
like,
Hmm.
we see the same thing. Even though we don't rock with the Bible like that, he was like, well, you see the same thing. Is these certain bloodlines, they want to be trying to take responsibility for telling other bloodlines history and then jumping in on bloodlines and erasing bloodlines. It's like, hold on, like you don't even be telling the truth about you and where you coming from, and you trying to take somebody else's history and culture and bloodline.
Exactly. And that's going to be the hard truth that Caucasians have to face, and those Native Americans. That's their hard truth to face. And they don't get a pass in the universe from karma, because they have taken on titles and identities that do not apply to them. And with that comes associated karmic debt.
I'm gonna say something. Do you know they didn't put the new treasury in Reno on a Native American reservation? And I'm thinking, they don't represent us.
No, that's their stuff. That's why they put it there.
Yeah,
Right, because Native American doesn't represent
even
the
them
indigenous melanated people.
no, they don't. And I just wanted to say that out loud so they get that understanding. But that's where they put it.
Yeah,
They're trying
well,
to do a consent from a native to make their system work. It ain't gonna work.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's where these Black Europeans come in, because who brokering all these deals? Who is the middleman between all this? Who playing both sides? Really playing both sides, gen-wise, race-wise.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Was it yesterday or day before? It was yesterday, child, because I had the whole chicken story yesterday. But Legendary Top Cats, I think he took the video down because he's starting his university. His online university. I don't know for sure. You can go check it out to make sure. But earlier
Oh
in
yeah,
that,
I was literally just looking for it because I was about to say that, but I think he
he took
I
it
think he
down.
took it down.
Yeah, it's probably on the university's website.
Yeah.
It's hella content, and it was really pay-per-view material, so I understand him taking it down, putting it on his university site. But he went to the source of who funded, who promoted and started education in the Americas, and who funded and started melanated Black education in America. And as we always say, the roads lead back to the Black European and the white European putting these programs together to literally whitewash and rewrite history.
W. Du Bois and stuff like that.
No, it was Carter G. Woodson, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's
Yeah.
Carter
R.G.
G.
Woodson.
Yep. Absolutely. And I forget the specific foundation that funded him, but it was white organizations that funded him.
Rothschilds are very instrumental in that part too of it, because
Yeah, he had the Rothschilds in there also, but it's a specific name of the organization. I would have to go back to the video, but it's all there, family, and all of this stuff is being revealed for a reason. There's no more lying, no more hiding. We're not consenting to any of it. I don't care who don't like it. It is what it is.
Rockefeller.
Okay, Rockefeller. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
You remember the organization's name? I don't
I just
remember.
remember the general education programs that was instituted.
Yep.
But I can't remember the exact
Yeah, the
name of
name of
it.
that organization. Yes, thank you, Rockefeller. Yep. Yep. So yeah, none of it is gonna fly anymore.
Remember that Australian lady was talking, and she said the Rothschilds were on the pilgrims when they came here because they deliberately came here to make this an experiment. I told you about that. She was talking, and she said, "You do know that John? I think his name was John Rothschild."
Hmm.
Was on one of those pilgrim ships when it landed.
Right, but remember, when we trace the money, they're not the power brokers.
No, it's,
Those R's, the
yeah.
Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, they're not the power brokers. We've already traced the money back to who the true power brokers are. So I'm going to bring in Dr. Carmen Johnson. She's just coming in. So let me bring her in. Okay. Peace and love, Dr. Carmen Johnson. How are you this evening, sis?
Hey, Aunt Rhonda, I guess I need to turn my mic off. I mean, my screen off. I had a rough day today.
Girl, you don't have to have it all. I got my little picture over in the corner, honey. I always have my lady do-rag on and sweatshirt, so you all good.
I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. It
Oh,
was
man.
rough. It was rough. Whew.
Oh. Well, good to hear your voice.
You too, Aunt Rhonda.
I was telling the family, I said, I'm going to be respectful tonight. I won't curse out of respect for Sis Carmen. And then Sis came in with my niecey Pooh. T. Christopher came in and said, now, you know, Dr. Carmen be cussing too. I'm like, I was laughing to myself. I'm like, I know, but still.
I mean, sometimes is no other word to express, what I've been through except through a curse word. So sometimes it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do want to welcome you aboard. And I could read your bio. I don't think I really have to. I would, well, let me read your bio. I'll read your bio to give the family some background, and then we'll
Okay.
get into the interview. And my niecey Pooh, Tamika, is sending you love. She's sending you love. She's in the chat. She's in the YouTube chat. Okay, so Dr. Carmen Johnson had created a niche in educating youth and seniors, returning citizens, and abused women about financial literacy through a wide variety of grassroots programs designed to uplift, empower, and destroy the barriers to individual and family prosperity. For Carmen, financial responsibility and good credit are at the root of community and family success. She is still committed to changing the culture of low income streams and credit unworthiness, particularly among minority populations in urban neighborhoods, often defined by redlining and exorbitant interest rates. She brings a special passion to her work as a mentor, financial counselor, and educator. Johnson is uniquely qualified to teach financial literacy by virtue of her individual success and as one of the few individuals who held separate professional certifications as a certified educator in personal finance, certified consumer debt specialist, and certified residential housing counselor. She also held a certificate of achievement as a business financial consultant. From the beginning of 2020 until now, Dr. Carmen has been working with life after release after her own unexpected wrongfully conviction and incarceration. She took a political hit and spent 3 years in federal prison camp for women in Alderson, West Virginia. When LAR executive director asked Carmen to coordinate LAR's court watch program, Carmen accepted. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. Since then, Dr. Carmen is now the director of Court Watch and Judicial Accountability and has sat in over 3,200 bond review hearings in the District Court of Prince George County as of today. They now have over 116 court watches, along with law students that work under the guidance of Dr. Carmen Johnson. So, I want to welcome Sis Carmen to the platform today to share with us her plight. So before we get started, Sis, did you have anything you want to share? Because I want this to be as impromptu as possible, or we can get right into the questions we outlined. Uh-oh, you got muted.
All right, so I'm here.
Okay.
How's everybody doing? I am certainly pleased to be here, and I'm excited to be on your platform, and I'm looking forward to an interesting evening. And you must forgive me. I've been up since 5 this morning. I'm very tired,
That's
so
okay.
I may be dragging in my words, but I'm high in spirits. So.
All right. No worries, no worries. I understand. So we're going to jump into the questioning. So, and you have to excuse me. My allergies would be acting up, child. It's been a tripped out couple of days for me as well. So can you tell us about the company that you had that was helping melanated people with finances, credit, and home ownership?
The name of my for-profit company back then was Able Estate and Company, and we offered the services of credit restoration, debt arbitration, financial planning, preparation for bankruptcy, rehabilitation after bankruptcy, identity fraud services, household budgeting. We also paid people's debts off, and it was considered as a personal loan, and we was able to report that personal loan to the credit agencies. We was a member of Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And so we served well over 5,000 families around actually the United States.
Okay. Wow. What led you into that line of work?
Well, from the time that I was little, my grandmother, who was Cherokee Indian, she started teaching my brother and I about financial literacy. We didn't know that that's what it was called back then. We was 3 and 4 years old, and
Wow.
we had our own little bank account, and we would sit at the dining room table when she would, put her, when she would pay her bills, and we would lick the stamps on the envelope, and and things of that nature. And she just taught us at a very young age about saving money, and that the only thing that we had was our name and our straight finances. So it was my
Wow.
grandmother that started that trend.
Wow. That's impressive. That is very, very impressive. Can you kind of tell us what led to you being investigated for mortgage banking and wire fraud?
Well, when the feds first came, I was not aware that that's what the issue was.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of that because I was not into real estate. I was not into mortgages. My company, my for-profit or my nonprofit, did not offer any of those type of services. So when they first raided me, um, to my understanding, it was a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And they, stated that, no statutes, codes, or laws were broken. They went through all of my finances and things of that nature. And they couldn't find anything because I knew that I had not done anything wrong. Subjectively, they
Mm-hmm.
kept a very large sum of money that they had seized from my business bank accounts. And it was okay until I started asking for the money back.
Whoa.
And right around that same time is when I became the housing chair for Prince George's County NAACP. And at that time, I was still asking for my money back. Look, give me my money back. If I'd done nothing wrong, give me my money back. And then after that, I became the housing chair for the state conference, NAACP of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I got into the trying to stop the illegal foreclosures that was going on in the Black, brown, and tan communities in Maryland. And some very powerful people wanted me to stop that narrative, and I refused.
Wow. Now, I've talked about this before on this platform several times, and I've done a podcast. I actually have a series regarding the economy, and I specifically speak on housing, and I kind of gave a rundown of the whole 2008 crisis, the housing crisis, how it got to that point, and how it literally bankrupted the world. And the bad part about that, people lost their shirt. Of course, I know you know it a lot deeper than I do. Millions of people lost their homes, yada, yada, yada. The plus side for me, it woke me up like that. Because all I kept thinking in my head was, why should they bail out the banks with taxpayer money and not pay everybody's mortgages off and set a clean playing field? So that sparked me to kind of go behind the curtains and do all of this research. And then I found out about the robo signing. I know you know what I'm talking about when I say that, the robo signing and the predatory lending. I guess my question to you, do you think because you were advocating about the illegal foreclosures going on in high numbers in the Black and brown communities, that it pissed off that particular industry of good old boys club with the banking folk, if that makes sense?
Absolutely, but it started with my nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
which in my nonprofit, which was called the Katie Abel Foundation, which was named after my grandmother. And so we taught financial literacy from elementary school on up.
Oh, wow.
And we went into the public schools and the private schools and also into some of the colleges teaching the true financial literacy.
Wow.
And with that being said, before the housing piece, it was the Wall Street, the bailout of Wall Street. So I took a bunch of youth, 12th graders to New York, and we made a documentary. I mean, it took us a couple of months to make the documentary, but we went to New York trying to interview the protesters on how they felt about, at that time in the beginning stages of the documentary, that, you know, the feds were thinking about bailing the Wall Street out. And then of course that ended up happening. Now let's be clear, when that happened, when the fall of Wall Street happened, so many senior citizens and you know, older people, they lost their retirement. People forgot about that. And so of course, Wall Street got bailed out. And so right after that, then that's when the housing market started changing. So it started with me speaking out about how that was so wrong for them to bail out Wall Street, when here it is, we are, you know, taxpayers. And so many senior citizens lost all of their money. And then next thing I know, then the housing market hit, you know, with the illegal foreclosures and the subprime mortgages and all of that crazy creative mortgages and all of that. Next thing you know, the banks got bailed out. So now here it is, we standing here, the seniors, they done lost their retirement, and then now they done lost their retirement and their homes, and then, you know, young families lost their homes. I mean, it was just a disaster.
Right.
And let's keep in mind, when you think back, who was the president then? Think about it. You tell me who the president was then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that even makes more sense. So you had been on the radar. Wasn't that called Occupy Wall Street, or am I not remembering right? Was that what that movement was called?
Exactly.
Okay, Occupy Wall Street. So you had started, you got on the radar back then. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And for the sake of the family, I know I've talked about this several times, but you are the expert. If you can put in layman terms for the family how the housing market actually crashed, what did they actually do from a finance perspective to cause that tidal wave?
Well, I only can put it in my perspective because I wasn't in the mortgage industry. I wasn't in the real estate industry. What I can say to you guys, all of you, is that when I first started my for-profit company, Able Estate and Company, you had to have scores like 750, 800 in order to get a mortgage loan. You had to show, you know, months of pay stubs, and you had to show tax returns, 2 and 3 years of tax returns, and you had to show this and you had to show that, and all of this stuff that you had to show. And I think I started that company in like 1998 or something like that.
Okay.
And so again, you had to have high scores and you had to produce all of this documentation.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, they started coming up with these creative mortgages. And as time went on, mortgage companies and realtors around the United States started hearing about my services. And so they started referring their clients to me for credit services and debt services, or my company paying off all of their debts. And of course, you know, we would get paid at closing.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time, the equity in the homes was rising really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But the requirements to get the house was going down. So people started refinancing like every couple of months and all kinds of stuff like that. It got to the point, it got so bad, you could have a score of 450 and one, maybe two pay stubs, if that, and a heartbeat. That's all you needed. And so a lot of these Black and brown and tan families did not need to be in those creative mortgages and tailored mortgages and fraud mortgages that was being produced. A lot of the families had 800 scores, but was put into subprime mortgages.
Whoa, wait a minute, Sis Carmen. Child.
Yeah, it was real bad.
That I did not know. I assumed. And shame on me. It could have been what I heard the media saying. Shame on me for believing them. That they were in the category of the subprime lender. Because that's the term they're using. Some subprime loans because of their credit scores. So what you're saying is that was not the case, that they did have the proper credit score. And of course, we're not saying all, okay? So don't nobody come on my threads talking about some all. We're not saying all. But what you're saying is there were a lot of folks that did fit the requirements, the 750 credit score and up, but they were put in these messed up loans.
Exactly. And again, around that time, the equity was going up so fast. And then it was also situations where, you know, clients was coming to my office and they was referred by the banks, the 5 major banks or mortgage companies or realtors. And, you know, everyone that came into my office had to go through a household budget and things of that nature. They had to go through a vetting process.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I told some of the realtors and mortgage companies and banks, this person cannot afford this house. And it got to a point where at first the realtors, the banks, the mortgage companies, they would take my advice.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to a point when they did not, because at that time, they had something called stated. All you had to do was say, hey, you know, I've been on my job this long, or I don't know what stated entailed, but they could just say what it was. Or I made this amount of money, and they didn't have to show proof. And I would tell the realtors and the financial institutes that they can't afford this house. And they would they started telling me, you need to mind your business. You know, we sending you business, You just need to, do whatever you need to do and mind your business, and it was true. When a client left my office, it wasn't my business.
Right.
However, for me, I took each person that walked through that door, through my office door, I took it very personable, because my name, I grew up on your name is everything.
That's right.
Your integrity is everything. And so it got to a point where they wasn't listening to me.
Wow.
It didn't matter what I said, because it was so many different, I guess they called it mortgage products that was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter. And then the boom came.
Right. So based on all of what you're telling us, it appears, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I by no means want to put words in your mouth, that's why you were really targeted, because you were exposing the fraud in the system.
They understood, like I was like, my only competition was Susie Orman. You know what I mean? Who is backed by TransUnion. I don't know if she's still around.
And my lips are cursed. You can't see if they perched to the side, but okay.
She was my only competition. So here it is. She's, Caucasian and I'm, Native. So
right.
She was mum. I was speaking out. I was, I created a documentary, and as a matter of fact, the documentary won an award. So I was speaking out about,
wow.
And then I started speaking out about the housing crisis.
Wow.
And then I started getting families their homes back by contacting the presidents and the vice presidents of those banks and of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the judges, calling the judges' chambers. Hey, you getting ready to auction off a house, and that's a illegal foreclosure, and these are the facts. The promissory note is in a bundle number, blah, 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 being traded on Wall Street right now. So there is no wet ink promissory note.
Now, that's the part that the average person to this day still does not understand what happened with that entire housing crisis, because they were, what's the term they used when they were betting on the loans? There's, dang, I can't think of that term. It'll come to me. But what most people don't know is that all of those loans that they were selling, they were packaging them up, as you stated, selling them, stamping, yeah, this is my stamp, stamping them, the credit rating agencies were stamping them as A-rated loans.
Yep.
When in fact, you had predatory loans built in there, and they were being packaged up and sold to Wall Street. I know for a fact some people have told me that they had like second and third mortgages on their property, because like you said, the housing prices were like going through the roof. And when the crash happened, it was so bad, the paperwork was so shoddy, so bad, that they didn't even know who to send their payments to.
Yep.
Child. So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I remember those days.
Yeah.
They used to try to sucker you into those loans. They always used to do that. I'm sure Dr. Carmen Johnson, remember the people, they gave them those really like 4% and all that kind of stuff, interest, and variables and all that kind of stuff, but they always tried to sucker people into those things. And you didn't have to have proof of anything.
Nope.
Nothing. You didn't have to have proof of working.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to have proof of income. Nothing.
Nope.
So no, that's fine. That's fine. That's Sis Sandra. So based on all of this, which is just incredible within itself, what led up to your arrest, the trial, and then the ultimate conviction?
Well, I don't want to go into too many details.
Oh, of
'cause
course, of course.
As you know, I got a book getting ready to drop in the next, supposed to be by September, is dropping. But some very powerful, Caucasians was trying to force me to change the narrative. And at that particular time, I was going all over the news on different news stations, talking about the fact that we needed a moratorium to freeze the illegal foreclosures that was happening in the state of Maryland. And I even was, offered a bag. And there was no way that I could sell my people out.
Wow.
I was offered, or made I was given the suggestion several times, what do I want to stop the narrative? And I said I wanted my people to be able to stay in their homes. Not to mention there were families, and in Prince George's County, I'm not sure where you guys are from, but in Prince George's County, Maryland, they have some of the most beautiful, big, huge homes. Everyone thinks about Atlanta with the big, beautiful homes, but these were big, beautiful, gorgeous homes.
Wow.
That was potentially owned by people of color. And their wealth, their generational wealth was stolen from them. And there were actually families that was living in the woods. And for me, the house thing never was never my cup of tea unless you pay for it in cash. And that's how my grandmother taught me. So that was never my thing. But what was most important to me was the fact that they was destroying Black and brown and tan families. That's the part that blew my mind.
Wow.
And as we've, growing up, we've heard the stories of how, Black men don't marry Black women. Brown men don't marry brown women. Tan men don't marry tan women. They just make babies with them. Well, these were husbands and wives and children.
Wow. So basically, generational wealth disappearing.
Right.
Exactly.
Snatched from them, basically.
Stolen right from under them. Yep.
So what were you officially convicted of, and what was the subsequent sentencing?
I
Wrongfully. I apologize. Let me put that wrongfully up in there. I apologize.
I would say fraudulently.
Fraudulently. Okay.
That's what I would say. That's what I do say, because that's emphatically what it was. And then I was ultimately sold into involuntary servitude. But when they first started coming after me, because I would not stop going on the news. I would not change the narrative. They offered me a plea for 30 years, and they kept asking me, what did I do? And I didn't understand what they were asking me because I hadn't done anything. Like, I didn't know what they were talking about, but yet subjectively, they wanted me to take a 30-year plea. And so, of course, I wasn't going to do anything like that. You know, that didn't make sense. And as a practicing Buddhist, it was just no way that I could lie on myself and say I did something, nor could I operate through the lenses of fear.
Right.
And so I'm like, y'all tell me, what did I do? So we all looking at each other. They like, you know, you tell me what I did. If I did something, tell me what I did. So then they couldn't get me on that. So then another year went by, and I'm still, you know, on the pavement fighting to get these families, you know, homes back, or, you know, fighting to keep them in their homes. And then, you know, I, you know, conducted a huge march on Annapolis, Maryland. And, you know, it was just a beautiful sight to see. You know, me telling people to, you know, stand up for yourselves, with them not knowing that I was being followed by the feds. I was being followed by the bank investigators. I was being taunted, and I lived alone. And they was coming in and out of my home, and they was calling me in my office, and they was calling me the N-word as they called me on the phone. And, you know, I would watch them. I would stand at my window in the dark and watch white men run in and out of my yard.
Wow.
And, you know, they tried to run me off the road a couple of times. And it was just, you know, I kept asking the NAACP for bodyguards. I'm like, look, I you know, I need help. You know, they are following me. They are, you know, coming after me. They're doing this, they're doing that, not knowing that they had their own initiatives going on behind closed doors. The NAACP.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't want to break your train of thought.
The second plea was for, I don't know, I can't remember what the second plea was. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I know it was less than the 30 years.
Okay.
But I'm like, I'm not even doing that. Not to mention, I went through 4 different attorneys, by the way, just to let you guys know that. 4 different high profile attorneys, to be exact. And then finally they charged me in 2014, the third raid. They came to my home. And they had guns to my head. I opened up the door, my dumb butt, I don't know, I never went through this before. I opened up the door, people was like, well, you shouldn't open the door. I don't know. It's
right.
Ain't no handbook on this.
Right,
so
right.
I opened up the door, 20 something white man came through the door and, you know, threw me up against the wall and all kinds of stuff. And you don't want to cooperate. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've been cooperating with you guys for the last few years. What are you talking about? And they arrested me at that time. And I was arrested for like 4 hours, detained. And that's when I found out about these houses. And the attorney that I had at the time, he was like, you know anything about these properties? And I'm like, no, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about this. And so, of course, you know, I pled not guilty because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't understand what the heck was going on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as time moved on, that's when I found out that it was 14 Tanzanian Africans,
Mm-hmm.
and 12 of them I did not know,
Okay.
and 2 of them I did know of. We did business in 2007, 2008, and it was no big deal. I mean, I did business with realtors as far as them sending clients to my office,
Mm-hmm.
or them sending documentation to my office pertaining to credit. The same thing with banks all around the United States, mortgage companies, but I never dealt with houses. I never dealt with mortgages. I never dealt with any of that. It was strictly the credit, the debt, that aspect of it. And so as time went on, of course, the third plea was for 10.5 years, and they charged me with 24 counts of mortgage, bank, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and false statements on loan applications. Well, all of that was far from the truth, as
Right.
far as I'm concerned, from my standpoint, from my services. And all 14 of the Africans took a plea,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the only one that went to trial.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I had a blue ribbon jury. They was not of my peers. They knew nothing about credit. They knew nothing about the services that I offered.
Mm-hmm.
I was told by the judge that I could not talk about my humanitarian work. I couldn't talk about my activist work. I couldn't talk about my nonprofit. I couldn't talk about being the housing chair for the state conference NAACP of Maryland. I couldn't talk about any of that stuff. So they pretty much stripped me of who I was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that was left was the lie, their lies. And Winston Churchill, I'm always quoting him, once said, "The most precious thing is the truth, but
Right.
almost always the truth is barricaded beneath lies."
Yep.
So the only thing that was left was the lies.
Wow.
And subjectively, the 2 head Africans, the 2
Mm-hmm.
head realtors, they both got on the stand, and they both said she didn't know about our scam, nor did she financially benefit, nor is she part of our community. And then one of them said, well, she did work on our client's credit. Well, I was licensed by the state of Maryland. I was
Right.
registered with the Better Business Bureau. I had an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Never had a complaint by any client ever.
Right.
I did ethical business in the community and around the nation. The other, they both said that I didn't know about their scam, nor did I financially benefit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not part of their community. And one of them said, well, she worked on our client's credit. And the other one said, well, she knew we were realtors. Well, I worked with realtors around the United States.
Exactly. And
Exactly. So the trial should have stopped,
mm-hmm.
but it did
Mm-hmm.
not.
Wow.
And people that supposed to been coming to speak in my defense, supposed to have been coming that next week. They stopped the trial earlier than what was anticipated. So the people that I had come in to speak in my defense the following week, it didn't happen.
Wow.
I was found guilty on all 24 counts. And as I sat through that trial, looking at all the documentation, not even knowing what the heck I was looking at. And then they would like do stuff like they would intertwine my bank statements in between the documents, which my bank statements had nothing to do with
Right.
what was happening. And they kept flashing like my ID or something like that. Like they had to create something that was connected to me, even though what they were showing had nothing to do with the fraud or the scheme or whatever was happening. It was those 14 people.
Right.
However, they stopped the trial. They went into deliberation. It took them less than an hour and a half to find me guilty on all 24 counts. I was arrested immediately. I never went back home. The prosecutor said that I was a terrorist. I was ISIS. I was a danger to the community.
What do ISIS have to do with that?
I mean, I'm not even ISIS, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay.
Yeah, I come in peace. Like to be accused of those things, and I'm thinking to myself, they're gonna send me to what they call that place, Guantanamo Bay. I'm like, oh my God. And they arrested me immediately.
Wow.
And I never went back home for 3 years and some months.
So did they ever give a reason for like abruptly stopping the trial per se and earlier than was scheduled? Did they even give a reason, or it's like, okay, well, we're going to deliberate tomorrow?
We're going to deliberate today is what they said.
Whoa. As you were going through the trial, who were your advocates? Who was advocating on your behalf?
No one. And I was still taking phone calls. This is how selfless I am. And as a Buddhist and a scholar of metaphysics, science of the mind, and mental science, I'm selfless. I am everyone and everyone is me. And when I look back, maybe I should have been on the news talking about what they was trying to do to me. Maybe I should have changed the narrative and said, hey, this is what they're trying to do to me. Because I had the platform, I had the voice.
Okay.
However, I didn't really get into details with people about what I was going through and what stage I was in. However, I kept telling the NAACP, however, I need body. I need help. They are trying to kill me. They are trying to do this. They are trying to do that. And they turned their backs on me.
Wow.
So injustice happened in an empty courtroom.
And I'm gonna guess no, but I need to hear it from you. And I think you've already,
Injustice happened in an empty courtroom.
Yeah. So no publicity, none of that.
Nope.
How were you feeling at the time of this fraudulent sentencing? You don't have to share it if you don't want to.
No, no, that's not it. Well, the sentencing happened 4.5 months later. And I was, because they arrested me immediately. So I wasn't given the benevolence to go home and handle my affairs. So I wasn't given the benevolence to close my house down, to close my for-profit business down, to close my nonprofit business down. I wasn't given the benevolence to handle any of my affairs. And I am type of lady that I like nice things, and I like things to smell good, and I like things to, I just like pretty things.
Right.
And especially as a Buddhist, I love red and, and golds and earth tones. And I'm making a point. There's a reason why I'm saying this. So that first, when they arrested me immediately, they moved me from Maryland into Washington, D.C. They took me to D.C. jail. And they threw me in a little cell with fecal matter all over the walls and floors, in the door, and the stench of urine. And not even being mentally prepared. Hey, I know that I got sentencing in 4 or 5 months and I got to get my affairs in order. No, they arrested me immediately and threw me in that type of environment. And it absolutely blew my mind.
Wow.
Into 1,000 pieces. And I had to sit in solitary confinement for about 8.5 days or something. And it was, I still can hear the women beating on the walls and the doors and the screams and the hollering. And I lived alone for years, so I'm used to, going home to quiet,
Right.
And I can still hear them today, their screams and hollers. And it was just a horrible thing. But the 8 days later, the psychiatrist came to interview me. And at first he never looked at me. So he was asking all these regular generic questions. And I assumed the way that I was speaking and the way that I was answering him. And at that time, he had not looked at me. I was just another number. And finally, he put his ink pen down and he looked up at me. And he said, "Who are you?" And then I gave him the little, whatever the little jail number is, whatever ID number. He said, "No, who are you out there?" And then I said, "I'm Dr. Carmen Johnson. I am the housing chair for the state conference NAACP, and I've been politically hit." And so he Googled me, and so a couple of news interviews came up because I could hear the news thing talking. And so he turned back around and he looked at me and he said, he held up a piece of paper and he said, "You've been court ordered to stay in that cell, solitary confinement, in that particular cell with the human fecal matter everywhere." He didn't say the human fecal matter everywhere. I'm just giving you a visual. But he said for the next 4.5 months until sentencing. And I just broke down and just cried because, not to mention, my judge went to Morehouse. Which means that my judge was a man of color.
Okay. I assumed that, but thank you.
And for him to do something like that to me, it just broke my heart. And so anyway, the doctor said, "You're never going to see me again. I'm going to release you into general population, and I need you to fight to get out of here." And he said, "And they are going to fire me." And of course, I never saw him again.
Wow.
And he did release me into general population.
Wow. That's powerful. Thank you for that. Um, if you can, and it's okay if you don't want to talk about kind of your experience, because you were in, was it called, like, it was called a prison work camp? Is that correct?
I was at Alderson Federal Prison Camp for women. Yeah.
Okay. Um, can you kind of tell us what type of women were at the prison work camp, far as what were their particular convictions?
It was mostly Caucasian women, and it was probably about 100 and something of us, women of color,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and a lot of them were there for drugs and white collar crimes.
Okay. What was the environment at that prison work camp? What was that environment like?
Well, it was racist. So I was at the same camp that Martha Stewart was at, the same
Oh,
camp that,
okay.
yeah, the same camp that Billie Holiday was at.
Oh,
So when you see the lady sings the blues with
yeah,
Diana
very
Ross,
familiar. Yes, 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 yes.
she's in that padded room and
Mm-hmm.
she's going through withdrawals. She was at Alderson. She
Wow.
wasn't at this, she wasn't walking around with no robe on and sunshades like they had down at Ralston. Mm-mm. She actually in her books, one of her autobiographies, she said that was the most racist place that she had ever experienced in her life. And she became a advocate for racism until she died. They don't tell that piece
Mm-hmm.
about her. Um, but it was, as of 2015, it was racist. Let me say, I left in 2018, so from 2015 to 2018, they were still racist. Um,
Wow.
However, when I first got there, I do not remember how I got there. I did not remember my name. I did not know why I was there. I did not remember being a Buddhist. Um, I remembered being a Christian because I grew up on Pentecostal
Mm-hmm.
in Christianity, number one. And number two, I remembered, and I'm not going to cry, I remember the native things that my grandmother taught me about the ancestors and certain things to do and stuff like that. I remembered that, and I remembered being a Christian, but I did not remember anything about being an activist at that time. I did not remember being a Buddhist. I did not remember being a scholar of metaphysics, but I remembered being a Christian and being saying the words, the blood of Jesus, and protect me, and doing my little native chants to call on the ancestors. Those were the two things that I knew to do.
Gotcha.
And talking about going back to your roots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Um, I know that can you talk a little bit about what led to your release? And I know I can't wait for your book to come out. I will be snagging a copy. I will be promoting it and reading it. I'm looking forward to it. So I know you're going to give a lot more details in the book about that experience in that prison work camp. Um, but if you can kind of give us a high level of what led to your release.
Actually, it was 2 congressmen and a senator. I, at that point, because I had went cuckoo, you know, per se, or, lost my memory extensively, my short term, my long term, all of that. Well, actually, when I was at DC jail, my sisters had to come up, and I had to sign over everything to them to handle my affairs.
Okay.
So they fired the other attorneys and all of that kind of stuff, and got some Florida attorneys. And so when I, after a year of me being there, so in 2016, that's when I remembered I was Buddhist. That's when I remembered, hey, I'm an activist. That's when I started remembering all of these things little by little about who I was. So by 12 months, I pretty much had got back to normal per se. And I was just in a shock of the conditions that I saw the women was in, and even, not having no mental health treatment and little medical care and things of that nature, and going all the way to the Supreme Court in 2017 and losing and being frustrated with all of that, and being physically abused by the guards and all of those things, and those 2 white attorneys telling my sisters, there's nothing we can do. This is what happens when you're in a jail, prison, camp, or cage. And I remember my sister telling me that, and I remember thinking, bullshit.
Right.
And this was in 2017, by this time, after losing in the Supreme Court. And I said, I need you to get me out of here. I can't do anything, symbolically, allegorically. They've shaved my head. They plucked out my eyes. I'm Samson. I need you to get me to the pillars. I need you to get me to the pillars. And I need you to follow my instructions. And I'm going to bring, I've got to say a curse word, this motherfucker down. I need you to get me to the pillars. And so, and remember, that's the story of Samson. And so my baby sister, because at that point, nobody was accepting my jail phone calls, except my little sister, that's 9 years younger than me. And I said, I need you to plug in my cell phone, and I need you to call these people, which are politicians. I need you to call them. And I need their cell phone is in my cell phone. I need you to call them and tell them what's going on, what they're doing to me here, And I remember my baby sister telling me, and at that time I was hollering and screaming and crying on the phone because I had just got strangled and drug on the floor and fainted, and it was just a mess. And I remember my baby sister telling me, okay, it's not going to work, but okay. I can still hear those words now.
Wow.
And so then I called her back like 30 minutes later or whatever, and she was like, oh my God, Congressman so-and-so said call him. And I'm like, okay, I got to run down the hill, and I got to put his number in, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, then I got to wait, and blah, 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 and this and that. And that's when the ball got started.
Gotcha.
And I was actually sentenced to almost 5 years, and I got out 3 years and some months. But it breaks my heart, because if my sisters had just listened to me sooner, I could have came home sooner. That's number 1.
Okay.
And number 2, when I did come home, that's when I was emphatically sure that this injustice system is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it was no motions filed. It was none of that filed to get me out of there.
Wow. Woo, child. Kind of want to change directions. Before I do, no, I'm just going to change directions because you've gone in very much so detail about that experience. I kind of want to go in the direction of you talking about the current the current petition you have. I'll stop there if you kind of want to give the family a little bit of insight of the petition and where they can find the petition. And I'm going to drop it in the chat for the family as well. And then if you are watching YouTube, I have rotating things coming across the screen, and the petition site is there as well. But yeah, sis, if you don't mind kind of telling the family about the current petition out there on change.org.
And by the way, that this was the Disney version.
Woo! Child, you don't know how long if you watch this back, you'll see me with the Kleenex, honey, and it's taken a hell of a lot for me not to break down. So, all right, go. If you don't mind talking about the change.org petition for the family.
Yeah, is a my sister and my computer guy who's been with me, he's like a little brother to me. He's been with me almost 20 years and saved all of my things. I thought all my stuff was lost, but he saved all of my, my videos and documentary and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we created this. Now that I look back and I know so much more now, I wish that the petition was not on change.org, because number one, when people make donations, it doesn't go to me, it goes to change.org.
Oh, crap. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. Second of all, it's been up since September. And unfortunately, it's only gotten about 1,200 signatures, if that. And when I first put it up, people at that time, President Trump was in office. Mm-hmm. And as you read the top of the petition, it says to the President of the United States. It does not say to President Trump.
Yep.
So I had a lot of organizations to tell me that they was not going to support my effort unless I put President-elect or something Biden. And I said, I'm not going to do that. And so they told me that I was a Trump supporter. And I'm like, well, how can I be a Trump supporter? Trump's name is not listed anywhere on my petition. It's saying to the President of the United States, to the Chief and Commanding Officer, based on Articles 2 to grant me a full pardon, but most importantly, to investigate what the Department of Justice in the state of Maryland did to me. Mm-hmm. And
wow.
I had a lot of people that looked like me that say that they wasn't going to support it. And so I have not gotten a lot of support, but I can't let that, that's their problem.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I've had some people say, oh, you need to take it down. It's so embarrassing. You don't have that many signatures. I don't care about that either. I don't have ego.
Exactly.
So I don't care about that either. It's going to stay right there. And this petition is not about me. If they were of any type of intellect or any intelligence, they would understand that this petition is about all of us. Because one of the biggest things that I speak out about is the fact that the feds have a 98% conviction rate. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they have this 98% rate is because people that look like me and look like you
Yeah.
are taking pleas.
Yep.
They're taking pleas for things they did not do. They're taking pleas for football numbers for the stupidest stuff.
Right. Right.
And you know, I don't know if you heard of Khalif Broader, the little backpack kid from New York. He was 16 years old, and I had never heard of his story until 2019 when,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was home. I came home in 2018. So in 2019, I saw the documentary that was created by, I think, Jay-Z, and I think Rosie O'Donnell was part of
Mm-hmm.
it or something like that. And he was 16, and they was trying to get him to say he stole this kid's backpack. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that he did not do it. And so they threw him in Rikers Island. And that is probably one of the
The
worst.
worst.
Exactly. And he kept saying, why do I have to take a plea for something I didn't do? And at that particular time, I didn't know how that documentary was going to end. But what I can tell you is that I had about 10 or 20 ways on how I was going to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to commit suicide. And the reason for that was the fact that no one talks about PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a camp. And that's another thing. People was like, oh, it's no big deal. You was at a camp. You wasn't at a real jail, and you wasn't at. No, it didn't have a fence. No, the guards wasn't running around with a gun. No, that didn't happen. But I can tell you, I got strangled. I got drugged on the floor. I got thrown in solitary confinement 3 or 4 times. I got chased around the compound like a baby deer as those racist guards laughed and thought it was the funniest thing on earth. And I've never experienced domestic violence before.
Right. Right.
But anyway, with the Khalif Broader, he it showed in the documentary him being beat up by guards. It showed him being beat up by, you know, inmates, which I didn't have that problem. But it showed this kid, this baby, being treated like that. And he was there for 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
And he just, for 3 years, they kept saying, just say you did it, dude, just say you did it. He was like, I can't, I want to go home, but I can't lie on myself. And I'm like looking at this documentary alone in my apartment in Washington, D.C., thinking, that's my story. This, like, I had never heard of him before. And I'm like, that's
Right.
my story. This little baby, this little guy, this is my story.
Right. Wow.
And when he came home, and when I came home, and I kept telling everybody, I'm fucked up, and everybody was just looking at the outer appearance of me, and everybody thought that I was the old Carmen, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, and I will no longer be that. Like, this injustice experience changed my whole life, my whole perspective.
Right.
Period. And I kept telling my family who lives in South Carolina, I kept saying, I don't feel good. I can't handle this. I couldn't handle the re-entry. I couldn't handle me being a high achiever, me winning so many different awards and all kinds of, you know, things that I created that was just of integrity, and everyone loved me.
Right.
And then I came home a felon.
Yeah.
With a scarlet letter on my back. And it was like it was on my forehead.
Yeah, indeed.
And at The end of that documentary, I had no idea how it was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been home for 2 years, and he hung himself over
Wow.
his bedroom window of his mother's house.
Wow.
And that's when I knew I had to get myself together, because I did not want my family to be calling me and me not answering, and I'm up here by myself,
Right.
and they come here and I'm in here dead.
Wow.
But that's how deep that pain runs. And most people that come home, and some of them think it's cute or a badge of honor, but it's a lot of people that come home that are fucked up.
Yeah. Wow. Um, family, I put the link in the chat so you can get to Sis Carmen's petition. Please, please, please go sign the petition. I did not know that about change.org taking the money.
Yep.
I done set up and made a donation. You know I'm pissed off, right? So what I'll need for you, sis, I'm not sure if you have a Cash App or whatever, get with me to give me that
Yes,
information.
it's on my website.
Okay.
On the Carmen story, or better yet, my nonprofit. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yes, we're going to go to that next. If you want to, perfect. So family, I dropped the link to, is it on the carmenstory.org?
Yeah. But
Okay.
you have to, make sure you cut and paste the whole HTTP.
I sure did. PS. Yep. /colon /4 sure did. So family, click that link and get to how you can donate to her directly. Don't do the change.org. Baby, I'm boiling. But that's okay. I'll correct that and make sure that it gets directly to you. So that's a great segue for you to talk about your organization.
Yeah. And before we switch over to that, just make sure they sign that petition and they put it on their social media platform.
Yes.
And to urge their friends and family members that are getting ready to go through the system, because we are a target,
Right.
that they are instructed to not take a plea for something they did not do, because only 2% do not or refuse to take a plea. And 1.5%, 2% go to trial, 1.5% lose that trial. And we get busted in the head. And the rumor is you end up with more time than the plea.
Wow.
Well, the last plea they offered me was for 10.5 years.
Yeah.
On 24 counts of mortgage bank wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud or whatever that is, and false information on a loan application or whatever they said.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It was women in there doing 10, 12, 15 years on one count. So this don't even sound right. 24.
No.
And walked out of there in 3 years and some months.
Wow. So family, yes, make sure you sign the petition. Make sure that you put it on your social media. Now, we are talking an Indigenous American Indian. Okay?
Yeah.
We got Indians all up in this chat.
Yep.
Let's show up. Let's show out. Sign Sis's petition. Okay? Because your folks from South Kakalaki, right?
Yep.
Yep. South Kakalaki here too. Show up and show out, family. I'm going to make sure on this particular show that I put the information in the description as well. Put the links in the description as well. Please go and sign the petition and share it on your social media platforms. Before we get into your nonprofit organization, sis, someone in the chat ask, what's the name of that documentary that you were speaking on with the young
Uh,
man? Do you
it's called
remember?
Khalif Broader, and it's on Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Khalif Broader, the backpack kid.
Okay, the backpack kid. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind, tell us about your organization.
Yeah, so if you could see my face, that made me smile. It's called Helping Ourselves to Transform. And when I came home, I did have the benevolence to not do anything for a year and a half. Thank God for my family, where I was able to not have to work or anything. But it's so many of our loved ones that come home from behind jails, prison camps, and cages, from behind that wall. They have to go straight to work. Like,
Right.
2 or 3 days, you got to go to work. And, they send you to UPS or, the post office, and there's nothing wrong with those jobs. But I mean, I never worked that type of, those type of jobs before. I come from corporate America,
Right.
and then, right into my own businesses. So, I wasn't ready for that, you know,
Exactly.
but after a year and a half, and then going through the mental health aspect, and suffering from chronic PTSD, anxiety, um, I have extreme nightmares still. After going through all of that, my sister, who's 9 years younger than me, who lobbied to help get me out of that prison camp after she realized it was going to work. She finally said to me, okay, you know, I know you're on your way back to the Supreme Court for the second time, but suppose it don't work, you're going to have a plan B, and, we talked about starting this nonprofit because it was so difficult for me when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so many reentry programs that are out here, but they're not doing what they say that they are doing, or they're doing bullshit.
Right.
And for me, no one knew what to do with me. I mean, they had me in classes for drug addicts. That wasn't my issue.
Right.
They had me in classes for domestic violence from a spouse. Well, that wasn't my issue.
Right.
They had me in classes for like criminal thinking and remorsefulness for your victim. Well, I'm the corpus delicti. I'm
Right.
the one that's injured. I'm the one that the fraud was perpetrated against. I'm the one that was hurt.
Right.
And so, these organizations was like, well, we can help you with getting your ID. I'm like, well, here's my driver's license right here. Well, we can help you with getting your birth certificate. I have my birth certificate. We can
Right.
help you with getting your social security card. I got that. We can help you create a resume. Here's my resume right here. Oh shit, she's overqualified. She can take my job. I mean,
Right. Right.
it was a hard.
Whoa.
Yeah, no one knew what to do with me. And everybody kept trying to stuff me in the same box with everyone else. And even to this day, even though I'm in therapy, I do, I see a psychologist every Friday for the last 3 years, and I speak to my psychiatrist once a month, just to be clear and honest and open and transparent.
Mm-hmm.
However, I never was able to be in, I needed to be in a group with other people who say they're innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, I still haven't found that, to be in the company of what others that were falsely accused
Mm-hmm.
of things that was not true.
Right.
And but anyway, moving along, my sister convinced me, and so we started helping ourselves to transform. And we offer Paramount services, and a lot of the services that we offer, I do not have listed on the website.
Okay.
And there's a reason why I don't have a lot of the services listed. And one of the reasons is because what I'm realizing in this industry, in this re-entry container, people are cutthroat. These organizations are cutthroat, and they steal and they lie and they
That's very smart. Very smart, sis.
So what I will say, the things that are on there are what, other organizations offer, but I go even deeper, because one of the things that I am emphatically aware of, and that's one shoe don't fit all, number
Right.
one. And number two, helping ourselves to transform is not going to turn anyone away. And those were the same principles, guiding principles and moral compass ethics that I used to create $1 million company years ago. And then I turned around and created a nonprofit years ago with 500,000 in donations a year because of the services and the fact that the people wanted to hear what I had to say. So in this container here in re-entry, each person that come home have a different set of issues. And it's very important that helping ourselves to transform is able to meet each individual need and not put everyone in one box, because that shit won't work. It didn't work for me. It traumatized me even more.
Wow. Wow. That is great. I mean, whew, what a testament from all that you've gone through to come out and, in spite of, still making a difference. So I just so honor you for that.
Thank you.
You have to be one hell of a woman, one sacred soul, to have literally been through the belly of hell. And girl, I'm fenced to cuss.
Hey.
And come out of that shit.
Yeah.
And still say, this is what needs to be done.
Yep.
Despite all that I went through, I know what needs to be done.
Yep.
To help others.
Yep.
So just honor and mad respect for that. High respect for that, sis.
Thank you.
So again, family, I dropped her link to the organization Helping Ourselves to Transform. So it's https:// helpingourselves.org / and I will also put this information in the description of this particular show. And are you taking donations for your organization as well, sis?
That's the only thing I'm taking donations for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So is it okay for me to say skipthatchange.org, not the petition, not the petition. Sign the petition. Don't donate.
Don't donate. Sign the petition and pass the petition on to all your social media platforms.
Absolutely.
All of them.
Absolutely. And if you want to donate, make sure that you donate directly to the organization. So I'll put all of this in the description of this video.
Thank you.
Whew. No, thank you. Thank you. I mean that from the sincerity of my heart. No, thank you. what advice would you give your younger self now?
Um, I guess one of the things, and is to not throw your pearls to swine,
Mm,
and meaning that everyone is not worthy of your presence, and everyone is not worthy of the gifts that you have to offer. And that's emphatical. You have to allow your intuition to lead you, whether to do business with this person or mate with that person, or become friends with this person. Everyone is not worthy of your presence.
yeah,
And that's advice for all of us.
indeed. And very, very powerful advice. We kind of talk about that, and I've been talking about it a lot more frequently because of where we are. Um, and I guess my next question is, what advice would you give young Black girls?
That we all didn't come over here on at the bottom of a boat.
I'm so,
That
mm-hmm.
uh, uh, most of us were already here, and don't believe the hype that we all came here from the bottom of a boat.
Wow. Okay. Have you found peace?
I am peace.
Wow. Okay.
I lost the hurt. It no longer hurts. I'm no longer angry, but I am peace.
Wow. Okay. um, how can we help you? What can the family do to help you?
To educate our children, our babies, our community on the importance of not taking a plea, of studying criminal law, understanding that most of these attorneys turn your ass in and they just want your money. And I only know of 3 great attorneys, and I never met them.
Wow.
And that was Johnny Cochran, Kim Kardashian's daddy, and the attorney, I don't know what his name is, who represented Professor Angela Davis in what, the 1970 something, when they said she killed
Mm-hmm.
those cops or something.
Right. Okay.
Any other, I don't know any other ones. And if there are some good ones out there, please, contact me. You can go right to my website, Helping Ourselves to Transform, and send me an email. But as of what I see and what I went through 4 different high profile attorneys. I
Wow.
spent over $300,000 in paid legal fees now. And they all were crooks.
Wow.
And if I had $1 billion, I would, instead of going to the moon or wherever Bezos went, or and pretending like he went, I would be creating an army of law students that will have a moral compass and have a conscience and have integrity and will see the disparity that Black, brown, and tan people go through in this injustice system.
Indeed. Indeed. So, family, again, and I'm going to put all of this information in the description of this video. Sis Carmen's, you can get overview of her story. You can get to the petition at Carmen's, plural, story.org. And then to get to her nonprofit organization, helping ourselves, plural.org. So please, 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 Indigenous Indians, stand up, go sign the petition, share the petition on your social media platforms as well. And, you know, check out her nonprofit organization. I know a lot of us have family members who have either been through the criminal justice system, who are currently going through the criminal justice system, so we can identify with the legal system in the Americas. And check out her organization. The website is helpingourselves, plural.org. So, whew, sis, this, I'm speechless. I just want to thank you so much. I'm so honored. This was a difficult one for me. Because like I said, you've been through hell.
This was the Disney version. You had, whew. This was the Disney version. Trust me when I tell you that. It's really unfortunate what our people go through.
Yeah. So, you know that you're always welcome here. I'm sorry, I'm struggling and stuttering because I'm trying not to break down. You know, you're always welcome here. You have an open door with the family. So anything you want to come and talk about, please don't feel shy. We're here for you. We're here to support you. And when your book comes out, definitely we're going to promote your book. And if you don't get too busy or whatever, if you can check back in with us so we can chop it up about your book. You know, anything that you all are promoting with your organization, we're here for you as well. Just anything in general. I definitely consider you a part of the family, and I truly mean that from the bottom of my soul. So it's totally up to you, sis. I know you said, girl, you've been up since 5 something this morning.
Yeah.
So we can end the interview now, or I can open up the Q&A. It's totally up to you. I'm open.
I can take some questions. I love questions.
Okay. So while I'm putting the number in the chat, my co-host, and I do have 3 co-hosts, brother Sean, sis Sandra, and then my adopted son Scotty. He's a youngin'. He's so precious. They sit on the panel with me. So if you all have any questions for Sis Carmen while I put out the call-in number for the family, that'll be great. Any questions, comments, etc. So
I just like to say that just us. It's the system that we deal with. It's just us. I'm talking about them. It has nothing to do with how we are. And my heart hurts when I hear that justice system doing our people so violently wrong. It's not even just wrong, it's violently wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And my son and I realized that the minute you sign a document, when you check in to the court, the jailhouse, that's when they got you. You never sign any of their documents. Never, ever. Because that's when they attach your bond. But that's hindsight. It's not going to help the problem go forward. The problem going forward is our people need to wake up to what this system really is. And being in middle class and upper class, people don't realize how bad the system really is. I live in California, doctor, and I used to live in Los Angeles. And so they always handled us like animals, like we had no rights. And they'll beat us and whatever they wanted to do. And there was a precinct, I think it was called the 77th precinct, and that was in Los Angeles. You didn't even get out of the precinct. They'd kill you and say it was suicide. So I'm at a loss on how to, get our people to understand the problems that this system has been for us. And we keep thinking that they're going to take care of it. They're going to do good for us. They're going to help us out. But that's not what really happens. It's not what really happens at all. What you did was you touched their money.
Yeah.
You hit their money, and that's all what they're about is the money. They don't care about the person who did it. They just want you to get out of their pocket. That the diversity of the note on the house went to their investors. And when you want that ink mark paper, they can't give it to you because they didn't got rid of it. So that's the sweat ink paper. They can't give it to you. But I've had people who was charged with committing murders, and the three-letter agencies are known to have set up people, and they're supposed to be the justice system. But they set up people, and they're the ones I heard is doing the crimes. We're just in a pit of people who don't understand who we are as a people. And maybe they do. Because if you look at the three-letter system, people, the F and the C, they part of the Nazi group that came over here from Germany. So their goal is to exterminate our people and to torment us and put us in stress. That's their goal. And hopefully, I believe that we're going to overcome this system when we support each other and we understand the system as it is, because understanding makes change. Because you don't want to get yourself in their system. I used to tell my sons that all the time, but they kind of hard-headed, when they start a little bit. But thank you so much for your testimony.
Thank you.
My heart sympathizes, empathizes, and it hurts for what you had to go through. And I have a relative whose brother was convicted of a neighbor, and they conveniently lost all the DNA evidence for him, and they executed him for that murder and found out later that he did not do it. So this is how they treat us. How can they just conveniently leave balloons and misplace all the evidence? But, and I had to cry with her a lot over that. And I'm just at a loss that we still, in this day and age, have this kind of system going on. And then they say our people are black and we don't treat them like that. We don't this and we don't that. I said, you need to learn your history and learn what you're all about before you can come there and say, we don't treat them people like that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know what life really is in this system for our people. And so when they say those kind of things, I just shake my head and say, truth is going to come out. All truth will be revealed. And they won't be able to hide behind their stocks and their bonds and their money, because there's a repercussion in the universe that they're going to pay. They will pay. And I look forward to that. I look forward to them getting back what they put out. Because if you give good, you get good. But, oh boy.
Thanks.
I'm sorry if I went off, but
No, you're fine, sis. Thanks, sis Sandra. I just want to right quick, and I see you, Nisi Pooh. I'm going to bring you on as well. I want to give the family, sis Carmen, when is your book being released? I think you said September.
Yeah, September.
Okay, and the name of the book will be The Pretense of Justice by Dr. Carmen Johnson.
the pretense of justice.
Right. So, we will definitely keep you all in the loop, family, as the book is being debuted. And we're definitely going to pick up a copy. Matter of fact, we're going to pick up several copies and give away some as well. And we will be discussing the book. And hopefully Sis Carmen will come back and chop it up with us. So with that said, before Nisi Pooh come on, son Scotty, did you have anything? And I haven't forgotten about anybody that wants to ask Dr. Carmen questions. I pinned the number. Let me read out the number. Yeah. The call-in number, you can do 312-262-66799, 312-626-6799. I also pin actually couple call-in numbers, y'all. This is Zoom. You know how they rock. If you have a question for Dr. Carmen. So, son Scotty, before I bring on Nisi Pooh, did you have any questions for Sis Carmen?
Do I have any questions?
No, I was asking Scotty. Oh, everybody got unmuted. Doggone it. Hold on. Okay. All right. You can unmute yourself. If not, I'm moving on. Okay, there you are.
I'm on mute.
Okay, there you go.
No, I just want to say thank you for sharing that information and that story, because one thing for me, like being of my demographic, we don't really hear, of other, like the elders going through stuff like this. And then, and then you would also think that, you would have more support, because it's like, if the younger generation is going through this and it's just so hard and PTSD and, not having the support to rehabilitate after you come out, like, how much harder is it for someone, older than us and having that support? So it was just like very much heartbreaking to hear that. Like, I'm thinking of like my aunt or my mom or somebody. I'm like, yo, that's just like, it was just so heartbreaking. So, yeah. And then the advice that you gave about, not like the throwing your pearls to swine. That's like literally like a phrase my grandmother used.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of Big Mama instantly when she said that.
And that is it. it goes a long way. That wisdom goes a long way for every type of, like you said, it's not just with your business affairs, with your personal relationships, your careers. You gotta know your worth, and you gotta deal with people who recognize your worth as well.
That's right.
So I thank you so very much for your time and your story.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And just to add on there, okay, Brother Sean, I'm about to unmute you again. I don't know why you can't unmute. You should be able to unmute yourself now. I guess just to kind of add on to
It don't have me muted.
Oh, and you still I can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Child, you know how they roll sometime. Just to put a little bit more on what son Scotty was saying. Thank you so much, Sis Carmen, for keeping it candid and honest about all who were involved in this fraudulent shit that you went through. Because when you said the judge went to Morehouse, baby, let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
When you talked about the NAACP literally turning their back.
Yeah.
Obama.
It's important for us as melanated people / black people, however you want to identify yourself with it. And we talk about this every week on this show. You gotta use discernment. You gotta start looking at shit for what it is and looking at people for whom they are. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Nope.
We are talking literally, your life depends on it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for being honest on that. That should be a huge wake-up call. Because I get on here and talk about it every week. And I know a lot of folks think I'm just being negative and blowing smoke. No. It's time for us to wake up and be adults spiritually and look at the shit for what it is. And we have to start cleaning house and aligning ourselves with folks that have our best interests at heart. Okay, so with that said, again, family, if you have questions for Sis Carmen, the number is in the chat. And I also pinned it up at the top. Nisi Poo, I'm coming to you. Brother Sean, do you have any questions or comments for Sis Carmen?
Honest and Power says, we love you first and foremost.
Thank you.
How have you grown spiritually from this experience?
I just love everybody. You know, my love for my people have grown even more. And that's the only way that I can explain it. Is just my love for my people has grown even more. And with that said, is very important for me to save as many people as possible that are on their way behind the wall or still behind the wall or trying to come from behind that wall. And with the tools and the understanding or overstanding that I have from this injustice system, it has given me even stronger gift to be able to understand how to save more lives than I did with the housing crisis or credit situation. This right here, I'm getting ready to save a lot of people's lives that don't deserve to be in this injustice system. And, you know, we're starting off with trying to dismantle some of those non-crime act bills that are keeping a wave of mass incarceration on our people, and the revolving door of making our people into slaves. And we're going to start with that 1994 Crime Act bill. And not to mention 6 out of those 9 bills, our president of the United States wrote, co-wrote, or sponsored.
Sure did. With Clinton.
Yeah. So my love has grown.
Indeed.
Wow. Okay, so oh, you good, Brother Sean? Okay, so I'm gonna bring on Nisi Poo, she who walks among the mist. So let me unmute you.
Halito, Osio, Grand Rising family.
Peace and love, Nisi Poo.
I just want to say thank you, Auntie Rhonda, and Auntie Carmen. I got to call you my auntie, my big sis. You are such a motivation, inspiration, and I'm trying not to cry because I'm such an empath.
Don't do it. Don't do it now. Don't come up in here. I've been struggling all night.
You got to say a cuss word now, Auntie, so I can laugh.
Now go on now, goddammit, go on.
But you... But I just want to say, I appreciate you sharing your story, because a lot of people suffer in silence and they don't share their story. Maybe they're embarrassed, or maybe they feel like, you know, whatever the reason, but the fact that you're a warrior and you share your story with people, you are giving me hope and giving me inspiration and confidence to do what I have to do for my son. You know, like when you were telling the part about your little sister and she was saying, well, that's not going to work. And I didn't want to be in that situation where my son is, you know, reaching out and it's like, you know, the ideas he has. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know if that's going to work. Well, damn it, we're going to try it. We're going to do everything and anything at this point, because the system will get these children very young and they don't know, you know, fresh 18 years old, they don't know what's going on. Right. They're just thinking that they're going along with whatever their attorney is going to tell them. And their attorney doesn't even have their best interest in mind. They're just, you know, on to the next number, sifting them in and putting them through the system. They're not fighting for them. And so you're out here fighting for them. And I just want to say, on behalf of all of the ones that you're going to help, the ones that you've helped, and, you know, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Carmen. And it's an honor to be amongst the mist and in y'all's presence. And it was such a pleasure to find the connection. I was like, wait a minute, Dr. Carmen sounds like Auntie Rhonda.
And she kept saying that. She kept saying that. And I'm like, and I looked over your information and I saw a couple interviews and I said, Nisi Poo, I don't want her to come on my platform and get her in more trouble, more situations. You know how I rock. You know I'm MFing and SBing on a regular basis. And she kept insisting, you all are too much alike. And she made that connection. I'm like, oh my God. So, yes.
And on the esoteric things and, you know, just a lot of the stuff that we've been learning with mindfulness, setting your intention, being the creator of your reality, practicing those things that, we learn in the esoteric realm, with Bobby Hemming and some of the top scholars that, we've been learning from. That's what this show is for me. It's like an expansion of a Bobby Hemming meeting. And so I know you will enjoy the conversations that are had here and the things that, the different stuff that Auntie Rhonda and Brother Sean and Sis Sandra talk about. I know you will love it. So you are at home here, Dr. Carmen, and I hope to see you in the chat sometimes, building with us on Thursdays.
Yeah.
As we sift through, religion and sci-fi movies and all the hidden mysteries and histories and her stories. And I'm just super happy to be, with y'all tonight. So I'm going to yield. I love you, Dr. Carmen. I love you, Auntie Rhonda, Uncle Sean, and Sister Rhonda. You guys are thebomb.com. Everybody in the chat, shout out to all of y'all. And thanks for listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you too, Niecy Pooh. Okay, I'll leave your line open. You can come back in. Okay, brother 832. I'm about to unmute you, brother. Okay, brother, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Roger! Sandra! My sisters from other misters! Feathers up!
Feathers up, brother.
United Snakes of America down! Sean, my brother, from another mother, sitting on Mount Olympus, throwing them black lightning bolts down tonight.
Indeed, bro.
And circling the cosmos, the solar system, and landing on the rings of Saturn. Scotty Youngblood, what up, though?
What up, what up?
Dr. Carmen, I bow. I'm on bended knee. I cannot express the gratitude. It's unspeakable. When you bring up the examples of Khalif Browder, this former administration using what's his name, Alice Johnson, by professing to release her from prison.
Yeah.
The most recent stories that you've seen of I think in one state alone in Missouri, and this shows you the criminality of the white supremacist system. The state's attorney general, either the state's attorney general or the district attorney of, I can't remember which, whether it was St. Louis or whatever other major city in Missouri, that apologized. Now, Rhonda, one brother 43 years and another one 26. Did any of y'all hear those recent stories?
No.
They
I haven't.
all innocently and wrongfully criminalized. And after the apology, still in jail. Not formally released. And I believe you were, I don't know if you mentioned it, but everyone's familiar with either the Innocence Project or our good brother with the Montgomery Museum, the Equal Justice Initiative. My sister, signing the petition and sending you money is not enough. That's the minimum. That must be done. I mean, if I get that out of the way, those who are listening, that's not even something that should even be a discussion. If I have to, you've already set yourself aside and apart. It's not about my condemning any individual or any of the group. You are a collaborator and an agent of the white supremacist system. Period. In the paragraph. I don't care how you rationalize it. I don't care what conclusion you come to. I got to go to work. I got to pay my bills. I got to send my children to school. These are all rationalizations to continue the existence of the white supremacist system. So victimize people like yourself, and I hate using that term too, doctor, because that's depleting you. That's disrespecting you. There was an attempt to not just dehumanize you. was to eradicate you. Now, I want some clarity. I heard what you said, but I want some clarity on it. You weren't in the midst of the 2007, 2008, but this is the wake of the financial. You've seen the movie Big Short and about the credit default swaps.
That's
and the
what I was
derivatives
trying to think of.
and how.
Mhm. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
And that's why I'm trying. Well, that's part of why I'm bringing it forward, Rhonda, because again, I want to have clarity. I understand everything she said. She don't have to make proof to us
Right.
that she is a member of our experience as the original inhabitants of this land, being lied on, having it stolen from us, calling us out of our name,
Right.
African American, Negro, colored, black, whatever. And at the end of the day, have to prove to the criminals they stole our shit. But I'm trying to understand what I heard you say about these so-called African Moors. I know that's what you want to say, Rhonda.
Child.
That set up a criminal enterprise that was in the wake of the 2007, 2008. And I know you didn't get impacted to 2014, but is that where you draw a direct line, Dr. Carmen? From those credit default swaps, the, what do they call those, ARMs, adjusted rate mortgages, and the subprime lending that put our people in these situations? So could you give me some little more clarity on that before I respond to what we should already know now, a decade later, as to how this criminal enterprise of mortgages, banks, and foreclosures have put us in something we should never be in because this is ours? Could you give me some clarity on that?
I mean, I'm not sure what type of clarity that you want. You know, like, are you wanting?
How were they in a sense manipulating you by trying to help people get out of a criminal contract they were put in? Because the bits and pieces that I can understand that you were saying, you're helping somebody with a credit report. I don't get how you're charged with 24 incidents of bank fraud, wire transfer. I mean, this is where I'm getting, confused.
Point.
Confused.
Right.
That's my point. That's my point. It doesn't make sense. So if it doesn't make sense, then it's not right. And I suggest anybody pull my transcripts or do whatever you need to do. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. And then to get hit with 24 counts and walk out of there in 3 years and some months.
I'm hearing you say, was it Shirley Peel Jackson? Are you familiar with her with the IRS situation? Rhonda, I think you've heard of her.
I think she was
the IRS situation.
Yeah, the sister.
Yeah.
She was the only one who went to jail when all the other white boys didn't, on exposing the IRS, the 16th Amendment, and we should not be paying taxes because taxes is voluntary by policy, by the way. And it's unconstitutional because it was never passed or never confirmed through 3/4 of the states ratifying the 16th Amendment. But that's another conversation. But she, similarly, being the only black female, former IRS agent and auditor, she went to jail.
Yeah.
White boys didn't.
Oh.
Now, I shouldn't be drawing a conclusion here, but it sounds suspiciously similar for however many of these Africans there were. It sounds like some African Moors set up the enterprise, the criminal conspiracy. The charges were based on that, and they were dropped on your lap.
Yeah.
Now, this woman with the IRS did a similar thing. All she did was expose the facts of the actual public record, not only internal to the IRS, but the law itself is unfounded. And there were other supposedly high-level white males who were administrators and in management said the same thing. A handful of them barely got probation. None of them went to prison.
Right.
But she did, I think, for the same 3 years like you did, my sister. So if you're not familiar with her, maybe you should kind of reach out to her. And it's a bonding thing I'm just suggesting. I know you need allies. There's no question about that. But it's a lot, you got similarities and similar experiences. It's not something she had to convince you, and you ain't got to convince her, because you both been victims of the white supremacist system is my point that I'm making. And so when I'm understanding what I'm hearing, these Africans set up a criminal enterprise around the subprime lending that brought the whole global economy to the cliff in 2007, 2008. Isn't that what we were told, Rhonda?
Yes.
Isn't that what we were told about the packages you said? The credit default swaps.
Yep.
The derivatives.
The derivatives. Yep.
The packaging of this shit for AIG
Yep.
Remember Countrywide?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Washington Mutual?
Yep.
Do we have to name drop again about who went to jail in that?
Too big to fail.
I don't remember
Not
anybody.
only
I
too
don't
big
want to
to fail.
lie, but I don't
You want,
remember.
you want, I'm about to tell you. I'm going to remind you. Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
But that
He
didn't
is
have
the
nothing to do
only
with the
one.
mortgage stuff, though.
You are correct.
Okay,
madam,
I just
madam.
didn't want to
You are
lie
correct.
upon somebody. Okay.
But in the documentary review, and by the way, he just died in jail. Okay. The only reason he went to jail because he got exposed from it. So yes, you're correct. He may not have had any direct connection to the cause and effect of the financial scam, but he is the only one who went to jail in the wake of it. You see what I'm saying? 6 years later, she goes. And I'm not saying she's alone. We don't know the other stories. I'm quite sure there's another Negro Boule fraternity judge that sent some of us up to the big house, and they call it up the river,
Right.
to the pokey,
Right.
breaking rocks. I believe I heard that sister say she was in the chain gang. That's what I heard described. Now, she may not have broke rocks. She may not have been put out there like Sidney Poitier and Tony Curtis and Defiant Ones, you know, or our good brother, what's his name? Remember Life with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
And Martin Lawrence? You know? But that was supposed to be a movie and a joke, right? Khalif Browder is not a joke.
Right.
There's two brothers in Missouri, one 43 years, the other 26 years. It's not a joke. That's today. It's not history. This isn't critical race theory. This is the 1619 Project. This is the current white supremacist system that needs to use black women like this good sister and black boys like Khalif Browder to chew them up, to spit them out, and teach who a lesson, Rhonda. You Aboriginal niggas better not be coming up in here saying nothing about this is your shit. There is another woman, I don't know if it was she who walks in the mist or one of the other clan mothers or queen mothers that share with me that's going around trying to initiate a campaign, Rhonda, and this is going to come across your radar, to prevent us from calling ourselves Aboriginals.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. How dare they?
Okay.
But that's the arrogance of white supremacy. You see? Now, they've been set up in operation by African Moors who claim in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right? By pale-skinned Europeans claiming the Charter of Magna Carta, Manifest Destiny, and Dum Diversus. They're all in agreement. We've talked about this, we deal about it every week.
Yep.
They are the conspiracy in agreement to target who and do what. And we still ain't got a clue.
Right.
So Dr. Carmen, forgive me for pontificating, standing on the soapbox. You're in, like Tamika says, you're at home, you're a family, we cover you, we try to bless and pray for you, but I'll say it kindly and peacefully, as I say every week, I don't give a damn where you come from. I don't care who you are or where you travel across the cosmos of the universe. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. And I yield.
All right. Thank you, Brother 832. Thank you so much. In the chat, Magneto said, thank y'all sisters. I did 15 years on a 20-year bid. Fight for us. And he said he's in Richmond, Virginia. So sorry about that, Magneto. So I'm not going to hold you, Sis Carmen. Did you have any last words you want to share with the family?
No, except the fact that, if there are any law students that are out there that are listening that want to volunteer with me and be a part of this dismantlement of these Crime Act bills, certainly go to my website, send me an email, call me. Anyone that want to volunteer, right now we're working virtually, that have a paralegal background but refuse to take the bar. You know, I would love to work with you all. Any attorneys that's no longer part of the bar that want to give back to the community on the injustices that's happening in our Black, brown, and tan communities, and want to help fight alongside me, please contact me. And I appreciate all of you. And Sister Rhonda, I love you dearly.
I love you, sis.
And Miss Walker, I'm expecting your phone call tomorrow so we get your son's attorney on a Zoom call as quickly as possible. And that's what my ask is.
Okay.
And you guys have a nice evening, and I love you all, and I send you all peace, love, and freedom.
Love you too very much, Sis Carmen. I'm sending you kisses and hugs, and you have a home here. Anytime, you're welcome here anytime. Family, go sign the petition. Go sign the petition. Share it on the social media platforms for Sis Carmen, our Indigenous American Indian. So love you much, sis. I'm not gonna hold you, girl. Go on and get you some sleep. And
All right,
okay, hit me up when you get rested up.
all right. Have a good night.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
you too. Love you, sis. Whew. All right, family. Ciao.
But you want to slap somebody, don't you?
That was rough, y'all. That was rough. But all honor and respect to Sis Carmen. I'm gonna put her information again. I'm gonna update everything in the YouTube description. American Indians, let's show up and show out. Sign that petition. You know, if you have family members that are going through legal troubles, whatever, hit up Sis Carmen's organization. I'll put that a link in the description of this video as well. If you have a legal background, as she said, paralegal, if you have a lot of legal knowledge, but you're not associated with the bar and you want to volunteer, please hit her up as well for that information. So, ciao. Woo! So, we're going to give last words. Son Scotty, you have any last words for the family? Oh, let me see if you muted. No, he not muted. All right, I'm going to go on. Brother Sean, you have any last words for the family? It still show you muted, by the way, but go ahead.
As you see, this war is ugly. This war for your soul don't stop.
Yep.
They come at you on every level. It's up to you to realize that the whole system has to go. You get rid of the whole system, you don't have to fight one of the branches. You don't have to cut it off. This whole system has to be uprooted. Period. We have to take back our prisoners of war. It's not an injustice system. It's working perfectly fine.
Right.
It's meant to take us away from everything that's ours, as long as we're participating in it. The whole system has to go.
Yep.
It's one fight at one time. We're not fighting every branch or every leaf or every piece of rotten fruit that fall off their ill-gotten tree. They gotta go. They been showed us that. They got rid of our giant trees, didn't they? Let's get rid of theirs.
Mm.
Wholeness and power, friend.
Oh, Sis Sandra, you have any last words for the family?
I said a lot, but I mean, my heart hurts when I hear stories like this, and being in a land like this, we have to know where we are. We're not among friends, we're among enemies. We are prisoners of war.
Yeah.
Maybe prisoners, captives in our own land. So, I appreciate her coming on tonight. Thank you, Sister Glenda, for having her. And hopefully our people have learned a lot, and maybe we won't be so quick to judge a person by he said some nice words to you and you think he's great. And you go and vote for that mess. So, yourself out of the system. Not putting him in control of yourself. Have a good night.
Indeed. Again, thank you to Dr. Carmen Johnson. It was all my honor because you certainly did not have to take a chance and come on this platform and be candid and open about your experience. So thank you for that. And it was all an honor to me and to the family. And this will reach a lot of people just by the vibration of your story. Because, melanated, black, and brown, this is what, we go through. So you giving that in-depth detail, that's hella powerful. And I'm like Nisi Poo. It will save lives and it will change lives. To the indigenous American Indian family, this is why it is very important. It is extremely important that you take the veil from over your eyes and see things exactly for what they are. So when you get an opportunity, go back and re-listen to Sis Carmen's story. She dropped some important jewels in key organizations, key people that were involved in fraudulently prosecuting and convicting her. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is not the time for us to have selective memory. It's not the time for us to be deflecting. It's time to pull our heads out of our asses, out of the sand, and you got to look at it for what it really is. Look at the gatekeepers for who they really are and who they're really benefiting. So, American Indian family, please go and sign the petition. Let's show up and show out for Sis Carmen. So with that said, we're going to end early tonight. Ciao. We're going to end early tonight. I'm going to update the description of the video with Sis Carmen's information. And we will be back next week with our series. So peace and love to everyone. We love you all very much. Thank you to the family chat for being very supportive. And thank you to Brother 832 for coming on, giving those powerful statements as well. And thank you for just recapping, because you know how we do. We just be wanting to make sure that we done set up and heard something correctly, because we ain't trying to lie on nobody. And like I say, I ain't got to lie, Craig. We ain't got to lie, Craig. So thank you for reiterating the important points that Sister Carmen said. So thank you to the YouTube family as well. And just the last words for the family. Anyone that has gone through the justice system, the incarceration system, whether or not you've been tried, convicted, and you're out, whether or not you're facing it right now, even to the families that have loved ones locked up, you're not alone. You are not alone. And we haven't forgotten about you. Do not think for 1 minute we have forgotten about you. So with that said, family, we love you all very much. Child, we're going to be back next week. Honey, I need to get myself all the way together, honey. So thank you to my co-host. Thank you, son Scotty. Thanks, sis Sandra. And thank you, brother Sean. And thank you, Nisi Pooh. So love you all very much. We'll be back next week. Peace and love, family.
We are in the age of truth, freedom, love, prosperity, abundance, and peace. Welcome to True Uncompromised.